Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today I give you 10 more recommendations on Tubi. And let's get to the list. Braid is a 2018 psychological horror movie, written and directed by Mitzi Perron and starring Madeline Brewer, Imogene Waterhouse, and Sarah Hay. The plot's about two wanted women who decide to steal from a wealthy yet mentally unstable friend who lives in a fantasy world. But to get her money, the fugitives must take part in a deadly, perverse game of make-believe.
Once we get into the house, whatever she asks you to do, you're gonna have to do it. No excuses. She says, we obey.
This is such a twisted movie, but I really enjoy it. It has such a unique quality to it. From the soundtrack to the way that it's shot, the color grade, the actors, everything about it just has a real strange, unique feel. It has this mysterious quality about it where you never quite know what's going on until it slowly lets you in on the whole story. Because in the beginning, you think one thing, you think these characters are this way, and then as the movie goes, you start to question the things you think you know, and it just plays out with this really fun little story. But it gets bizarre, wild, and pretty gory as well. It just takes you on a wild, demented ride that's definitely worth taking.
I don't want them to take me.
We are gonna die in here.
You shot one of them. Now they work for blood.
No! You can't take me!
They're out there, and they're watching.
Extraterrestrial is a 2014 Canadian sci-fi horror movie. Directed by Colin Minahan, who is one half of the Vicious Brothers, who also co-wrote, produced, and edited it. The film stars Brittany Allen, Freddie Stroma, and Melanie Papalia. The story is about a group of friends who must defend themselves against an alien onslaught.
I know that this is gonna sound crazy, okay? We saw something crash in the woods.
What the hell?
No way.
This movie is really a lot of fun, and it's crazy. I had never heard anyone talk about this movie before. I just kind of stumbled across it while scanning through just different titles. A lot of times I just kind of go in there, look at a cover, and click it on and give it a few minutes, see if it's interesting. And this just kept grabbing my attention and pulling me along until I found myself just engrossed in this. This isn't a little nothing movie either. It has a solid budget with some really quality acting. Like it really looks good. I mean, it's a polished movie. It doesn't in any way feel like this cheap garbage movie like I expected. It also has plenty of surprises up its sleeve where you think it's gonna head one direction and then it changes course. But this is not a movie that takes itself serious at all. It's full of satire. It is way over the top and just goofy in a lot of ways, but it's done in such a way that you could actually for a while think that maybe it is meant to be serious. But especially towards the end, the way the ending unravels, it is definitely telling you, hey guys, this movie is not something that was meant to be taken serious. And if you did, the joke's on you, so to speak. But I had a great time with this movie, and I highly, highly recommend this movie.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What, did you think he was gonna hack me up into little pieces or something?
Terrifier is a 2016 splatter horror movie. Written, produced, and directed by Damien Leone, it stars David Howard Thornton, Jenna Cannell, and Samantha Scafidi. The story's about a crazy murderous clown named Art, who stalks and tries to kill 3 women in a wretched old apartment building on Halloween.
What if that guy did this to your car?
What guy? The clown?
We really think someone slashed my tires?
So at the time of recording this, I'm about to go see Terrifier 2 for the second time in a theater. This movie is so much fun, and I had to mention the first one because as much as it blows my mind and it feels like everyone I know has seen Terrifier and probably has even seen this new one, the second one, or at the very least plans to go see it, there's still a ton of people out there that is, like I said, as much as it blows my mind, have not seen Terrifier. And so I had to bring it up in this video for those people out there that have not checked it out, because this is such a tiny movie that's really taken the horror world by storm. Because Art the Clown is just so much fun, and Damien Leone has really taken this throwback premise of just this slasher, stalker, gory madness that we loved so much in the 80s and even into the 90s, and has kind of been forgotten in a way, and just brings it back, but with this whole new level of viciousness, goriness, brutality, because Art holds back nothing, and Damien Leone shows you everything. David Howard Thornton is amazing as Art the Clown in this. So anybody out there, watch this, watch Terrifier if you haven't seen it, and definitely before it's out of theaters, go see Terrifier 2. You won't regret it. As long as you can handle the gore, because trust me, it's gory, man. I even posted a thing saying that the real Halloween movie this year is Terrifier 2, not Halloween, because Halloween Ends goes out with a whimper, whereas Terrifier 2 comes in with just this onslaught of crazy brutalness, but also some really fun Halloween imagery, costumes, decorations. It just feels like Halloween season. Either way, if you're one of those people that has still not seen Terrifier, definitely get on it and then go see Terrifier 2. The Collector is a 2009 horror movie. Directed by Marcus Dunstan and written by Patrick Melton and Dunstan, it stars Josh Stewart, Michelle Riley Burke, and Andrea Roth. The film follows a man who, in order to pay off a debt, decides to rob a house, only to find out that someone with much more sinister intentions has already broken in. Man, this movie is so savage, and sadly I hear less and less people talk about it, because I know that it was the rage for a while, but it's slowly kind of becoming less of a thing. It's a lot of fun, but in a brutal, vicious, unrelenting way. Because The Collector is one of the more grim, terrifying horror villains we've seen in recent memory. There is a sequel to this movie, and it also kicks some serious ass, but there was supposed to be a third, The Collected, that unfortunately at the time of recording this is on hold, if not never going to be made, which bums me out because I really think The Collector has a chance to become this horror icon, the way we're seeing Art the Clown just take over the horror world in the Terrifier franchise. I think The Collector could definitely do the same thing. But this movie is gory and graphic, and you can just feel it. It just rips into your skin. If you're looking for something this Halloween season like the Saw franchise to just kind of get to you, this is one to definitely put on your list. Sunchoke is a 2015 dramatic psychological thriller. Written and directed by Ben Cresseman, it stars Sarah Hagan, Barbara Crampton, and Sarah Mala Colane. Forced to endure a bizarre health regimen by her caretaker, a recovering mental patient becomes obsessed with a young woman, to whom she feels an inexplicable connection. This is such a strange movie that really gets under your skin. There's just this uncomfortable quality throughout, but it looks gorgeous. Like, this is a really beautifully done movie. It just, in every way, you can tell there's care and thought put into all of the elements of it. But it takes you on this very strange, bizarre journey of you just trying to sort out what you think is going on. And even at the end, you're gonna be left with this feeling of being unsure, of not really sure what you just saw, what reality is. What is this fantasy world that this girl lives in, and what is reality? Barbara Crampton is fantastic in this. She's not the lead, but she does play a pretty large role, and she does a really good job of just portraying this woman who's not quite right, but yet you're not really sure if she's the one with the problem or if it's this girl, because Barbara Crampton shows like this genuine feeling of love and care towards this girl, but some of the stuff that she makes her do makes you go, yeah, I don't think you're all quite right either. But it's just this really bizarre struggle between the two, but it also gets pretty barbaric, pretty twisted, and gruesome at a point as well. So if you're a fan of slow burn, bizarre indie horror, this is one to definitely check out. "2025 Blood, White, and Blue" is a 2021 action horror comedy. Written, produced, directed, and edited by Josh E. Williams, it stars Grid McGrath, Justin Kroos, and Ernest Vestito. The story is about a Homeland Security agent who's trying to survive with his family on the annual Purge night, after making the bust of his career while working undercover in the Mexican cartel. This movie is so silly, over the top, it's campy, but it's just a lot of fun. You gotta remember with this movie that it's a micro budget kind of movie, but it brings back that old school parody type of thing where you just don't see enough of that anymore. Just being that silly, over the top movie that pokes fun at the world and our politics, as well as the horror world, as well as action movies. It just pokes fun at all of it in a very lighthearted way. There's so many filmmakers that just put their heart and soul into these tiny little projects that are made with practically no money. This is one that I know personally, and I know the work and struggle that he put into this. And the fact that he just made a movie with the tiny amount of things that he had to work with is just mind-blowing. It's also amazing to me what they were able to accomplish. Even the actors, like people with almost no experience at all, that were working on this movie that really did some great stuff. Grid McGrath is one of the standouts to me because he's had almost no acting experience. I think he really kills it as this grizzled action star, something that we just don't see enough of anymore. It's one that I definitely think you can have a good time with. Get some beers and popcorn and just relax with a group of friends and have fun with it. So I wanted to give some love this week to a tiny movie that I really respect the hell out of. So do yourself a favor and check it out. Death Watch is a 2002 British-German war horror movie, written and directed by M.J. Bassett and starring Jamie Bell, Lawrence Fox, and Andy Serkis. The story is about a lost squad of British soldiers in World War I, who take shelter in an abandoned enemy trench, but it proves to be no refuge, as the men find themselves hunted by unseen evils.
There's something wrong with this place.
What are you talking about? Why haven't they come back for the men? Why haven't they come back for the trench?
I wish I could remember which one of you recommended me this, but you know who you are, and I am very grateful because this movie really floored me. What a quality, well-written, well-done movie this is. It like slowly just builds into this really overwhelming, powerful scenario. It's very well done in that World War I setting too. Everything from just the mud, the fog, the costumes, it just feels real, it feels gritty, it feels dirty. But then it also becomes very horror, and in a really creepy, uncomfortable, disturbing way. It takes you into this absolutely maddening psychological thriller direction where you're really trying to figure out what you think is reality. And you're never quite sure until really the end, but even at the very end, you're still kind of wondering, what exactly is going on? What exactly did you just see? But it's done in a really moving way. It's done in a really gritty way, in a powerful way. If you're a fan of slow burn horror movies that have strange psychological twists, this is one you definitely need to see.
Aren't you moving?
Crone Wood is a 2016 found footage horror movie. Written and directed by Mark Sheridan, it stars Ed Murphy and Elva Trill. A young couple decide to go camping after they go on a wonderful first date, but they quickly regret their trip to the woods.
Hello?
Donnie, we have to get out of here.
I've seen so many found footage movies, and it's gotten to a point now where I don't really expect much from them anymore because I've just seen so many. But this one has some unique qualities to it that I very much enjoyed. I thought they did a really good job in this of making it feel organic on why they still are carrying around this camera, even when shit hits the fan. Because a lot of times you're kind of like, yeah, they would have stopped recording by now. But this one does a good job of giving you a reason why. It also throws some weird twist at you that you're not used to seeing in found footage movies. On top of that, I just thought it was really well acted and shot really well too, because yeah, it's found footage, but that doesn't mean there's creativity always involved just because you're using this, this handy cam. But in this one, there is a lot of unique angles, some very unique situations they put them in. And I thought they just threw some nice, interesting little twist to this subgenre that we've seen a ton of. Because for found footage, this is one of the more interesting ones I've seen in quite a while. So definitely add this to your list.
Hey, wait up! Wait up!
The House is October Built is a 2014 found footage horror movie. Directed by Bobby Rowe and written and produced by Zach Andrews and Rowe, it stars Brandy Schaefer, Zach Andrews, and Bobby Rowe. The story follows 5 friends who travel across country to find the best haunted house. But soon they find themselves targeted by a demented, mysterious group.
Rented an RV. I want to find the most extreme haunted house in the world.
What is an extreme haunt? I don't understand how far you really can go on without hurting somebody.
I've recommended this movie so many times, but especially this time of year, because if you're someone that enjoys haunted houses, this one is just so cool. Because we've all heard for so many years that there's these haunted houses in different places where they go too far. And there's been countless documentaries talking about these extreme haunted houses, like Delaney Manor, I think it's called, or something like that, where the guy's just totally loco. But I've always thought, what if there's a group of people that take this even further? And this movie really takes and makes it into a fantastic horror movie. The story goes that they were out just filming a documentary, and then they got this idea of what I just talked about. What if this could be a horror movie? Like, what if that scenario really existed? And so they decided to make it into a horror movie, but they still have all this footage of these haunted houses, and so it just gives it this really disturbing quality, like you're watching this documentary gone bad. It really is a lot of fun. It's perfect for this time of year. It's a movie that I highly recommend. The House on Haunted Hill is a 1999 supernatural horror movie, directed by William Malone and starring Jeffrey Roy Rush, Famke Janssen, Taye Diggs, and Chris Kattan. The plot follows a group of strangers who are invited to a party at an abandoned insane asylum, where they are offered $1 million each if they're able to survive the night.
Let the games begin.
This is an era of movies that for the longest time I considered to be the worst era. And for some reason, it's just started to really grow again on me. I mean, I think I remember enjoying it at the time, but then there was this period of time where I just thought of it as trash. But now, rewatching this movie, I had such a great time with it. It is so obviously made to be a certain kind of campy quality. It's purposefully made in that campy, over-the-top way that you're not meant to take serious. And I think I just didn't quite understand that for the longest time. But now when I watch it, I see all that. I see the trashy elements they added to it. Because the original was a William Castle movie. And he's famous for these over-the-top, campy things he would do, like in The Tingler, where he put a little something to get your kind of deal. He's just famous for all that crazy, over-the-top stuff. And I feel like they were trying to pay homage to that in their own new way. I mean, it is a Dark Castle movie, by the way. But I just loved it. I had such a great time with it. It just very much feels like Halloween when I watch this. It has that spooky, that's not really scary vibe to it. At least for me, it felt very nostalgic and just so much fun to watch. It definitely falls in that same category as 13 Ghosts, which is also Dark Castle, same era of movie. And it just reminded me of last summer when I was watching Malignant, and how there's a few scenes in that movie, especially the beginning of it, and then later on when they're driving up to this castle, and you could just feel how inspired by these kind of movies, you know, that movie was. And I love that. Just this really fun full circle vibe I got off of it. It's just a movie that you cannot take too serious, like I always talk about at the end of my list. It's perfect for a Saturday night. So grab your popcorn and your candy and enjoy! I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to my patrons, because you guys, your support seriously means so much to me, and you guys just keep growing every day, all the time, and it just gives me all the feels. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron and helping to produce this channel and give me more of those feels, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. If you enjoyed this, click right here for 10 more recommendations. And I'll see you guys next time.